Have you ever sat in a room full of your own family and felt completely invisible? Like your words didn't land, your presence didn't register, and all the love and care you've given over the years suddenly vanished into thin air. If you felt this way, I want you to know you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not wrong for feeling hurt. Many people, especially in their 60s and beyond, come to this quiet and painful realization that the roles they once held, parent, provider, peacemaker, now go unnoticed. There's a strange ache that comes from giving so much of yourself and feeling like it was barely acknowledged, let alone appreciated. You remember birthdays, offer advice, babysit grandkids, share your wisdom, cook meals from memory. And yet, it can feel like you're slowly becoming background noise in a house you helped build. It's a hard place to be, but it is something powerful. You still hold the pen to your own story. Feeling unappreciated doesn't mean you have no value. In fact, it often means you're giving more than most can understand, until they grow older and walk in your shoes. But waiting around for others to see your worth isn't the answer. Today, we're going to talk about 5 gentle, empowering shifts that you can start making today, not to change your family, but to change how you experience your life, your relationships, and most importantly, yourself. The first shift, and it may sound small, but it's mighty, is learning to validate yourself. Now, I know that might sound like something from a therapist's office, but stay with me. So much of our hurt comes from hoping others will say what we deeply need to hear. Thank you. I see you. You matter to me. But if we tie our happiness to the words that may never come, we place our peace in someone else's hands. And you've lived far too much life to keep waiting for permission to feel seen. Start each day with a moment that's just yours. Before breakfast, before checking your phone, before you even talk to anyone, take a moment to acknowledge yourself. Speak it out loud if you can. I am proud of the love I've given. I raised a family with care. I still have so much beauty in my heart. You're not being arrogant. You're simply nourishing the parts of yourself that have been ignored by others. This kind of self-acknowledgement changes the emotional temperature of your day. It strengthens your inner voice so that even when the world gets quiet, your soul doesn't feel starved. Now let's talk about the second shift. And this one is a little tougher, but incredibly freeing. It's letting go of the scoreboard. It's human to keep score. Who called last? Who remembered your birthday? Who made time for you? It's a quiet list we keep in our heads, and over time, it starts to feel heavier and heavier. But here's the catch. Most people don't even know they're being graded. They're just living in their own little world, distracted by jobs, kids, bills, and the million other things that pull them in all directions. Letting go of that scoreboard doesn't mean letting people off the hook. It means freeing yourself from the frustration that builds when expectations aren't met. And believe me, I know it feels unfair. You gave your best years. Shouldn't someone return that love the way you did? But clinging to that tally sheet doesn't get you what you deserve. It only keeps you tied to a cycle of hurt. Try this instead. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I always do more, pause. Take a breath and ask, am I doing this because it aligns with who I am, or because I expect something back? When your kindness comes from your identity, not your expectation, it becomes your strength, not your burden. And that brings us to the third shift, one that might surprise you, but it's essential. Start creating boundaries that protect your peace, not punish your family. You see, boundaries often get confused with ultimatums, but they're not about control. They're about clarity. If family members speak harshly, take advantage of your time, or ignore your emotional needs, it's okay to step back and decide what you will and won't allow in your life anymore. You don't have to attend every gathering. You don't have to answer every call when it leaves you drained. You can start choosing yourself with love. When you begin setting gentle, firm boundaries, something beautiful happens. You reclaim your dignity, and you teach people how to treat you. Not through arguments, but through example. One woman I spoke to recently told me, "I stopped chasing my kids. I started taking myself out to lunch, joining a local book club, and spending more time in my garden. And wouldn't you know it, they started calling more often, not because I begged, but because they noticed I stopped waiting for them." That shift from waiting to living is a powerful one, and it starts with these small, meaningful decisions you make just for you. When you begin to live for yourself again, even just a little, something changes deep within. It's like breathing fresh air after years of holding your breath. You start to notice beauty in places you used to overlook, and slowly that ache of being unappreciated softens, not because others suddenly change, but because you've started treating yourself the way you always deserved to be treated. The fourth shift I want to share with you is to build joy outside the family circle. I know this one may feel strange at first. For decades, family may have been your entire world. You centered your calendar around their visits, your holidays around their plans, and your energy around their needs. But if that circle stops feeding your soul, it's not only okay but necessary to create a second circle. This is where you explore the parts of yourself that may have gone quiet while you were raising others. Maybe there's a hobby you set down long ago, painting, writing, dancing, hiking. Maybe there's a neighbor you enjoy talking to, or a community center that offers classes just for seniors. Even a weekly coffee with someone who listens without judgment can light up your week in ways you didn't expect. We often think joy has to be big to matter. A vacation, a celebration, a gift. But in this season of life, joy is often found in small, consistent moments. Sitting under the sun with a book, planting something new and watching it bloom. Listening to music from your youth and letting the memories wash over you like a gentle wave. These things may not erase the sting of being overlooked, but they do build a life that feels full, even if your phone doesn't ring as often. And here's the beautiful twist. When you stop depending on your family to be your only source of joy, the pressure on those relationships eases. You stop waiting with resentment. You stop feeling like every missed call is a personal attack, and you start realizing that you are still capable of choosing joy, of making new connections, of laughing, dancing, and living, even if others don't show up the way you hoped. Let me share a story. There was a man named Thomas in his early 70s who used to wait by the phone every Sunday, hoping his son would call. When the calls didn't come, he'd spiral into sadness. Eventually, he made a change. He joined a senior walking group, just once a week. At first, it felt awkward, like trying on shoes that didn't fit, but slowly he made a few friends, people who asked about his day, who noticed when he missed a walk, who laughed with him about old songs and shared stories of their grandchildren. After a few months, he said something I'll never forget. "I stopped waiting for one person to remember me, and found 5 others who already did." Now the fifth and final shift is about how you see your own worth. And this one, I believe, is the root of everything. It's the shift from seeking appreciation to recognizing your impact. Appreciation is nice. We all need it from time to feel heard, valued, respected. But even when it's missing, it doesn't erase the truth of what you've done, the truth of your love, the truth of your effort. You are a living legacy. Think about that for a moment. Your choices, your sacrifices, your laughter, your tears, they've shaped generations. They may not always say it. They may not even know how to say it. But you've planted seeds in people's lives that will continue to grow long after you're gone. And sometimes when we feel unappreciated, It's because we're looking for confirmation in the moment, instead of trusting the long view. Your impact isn't measured by how many thank yous you hear this week. It's measured by the values you passed on, the comfort you gave when someone needed it most, the way your presence made a house feel like a home. You see, your story doesn't end with feeling invisible. Your story continues with strength, with grace, with a decision, a daily decision to reclaim your own voice, your own joy, and your own sense of purpose. So yes, maybe they don't say thank you. Maybe they don't call as much as they should. Maybe your needs go unnoticed. But that doesn't mean you're small. That doesn't mean you disappear. What it means is that it's time to come home to yourself, to rebuild a world that doesn't rely on applause but on inner peace, a world where your own heart speaks louder than anyone else's silence. And in that world, my friend, you are cherished by you. Let's continue from here because your story, your healing, it isn't done yet. So much of the pain we carry as we get older comes from what feels like a slow fading away, not from life itself, but from the center of other people's lives. You start to notice that you're not the first person they call anymore. Plans are made without you, decisions happen around you, and sometimes even the gratitude you deserve is replaced with expectation. You're supposed to always be available, always understanding, always generous, without ever needing anything back. But the truth is, you're still here. You're still breathing, feeling, giving, learning, growing. And just because some people in your life may no longer see the full depth of who you are, it doesn't mean you've disappeared. It means you're in a season where you get to decide what matters most. This stage of life, your 60s, 70s, or beyond, isn't about retreating into the background. It's about choosing where to place your energy, your time, and your heart. You're no longer here to chase approval. You're here to live in a way that fills you up, that honors your journey, and that reflects the beauty of everything you've survived. You've learned that people sometimes love in messy, imperfect ways. And while that doesn't excuse being overlooked, it does help soften the sting. It allows you to shift your expectations and free yourself from waiting for things that may never come. At least not in the way you imagine. Instead of hoping that others will finally see what you bring to the table, it's time to set your own table. Lay it with the things that nourish your spirit: laughter, music, quiet mornings, long walks, new hobbies, familiar friendships, and yes, even solitude. Not the lonely kind, but the kind that feels like peace. Because solitude isn't the same as being forgotten. Solitude can be sacred. It can be a time when you reconnect with the parts of yourself that got lost along the way. The dreamer, the artist, the storyteller, the nurturer. And as you begin to embrace these parts of yourself again, you might notice something surprising. Your family begins to shift too, maybe not all at once, maybe not even the way you hoped, but they start to see something different in you. Not a person waiting in the shadows, but someone who stands in their own light. That's the gift of these 5 shifts. They're not about fixing other people. They're about coming home to the strength and the grace that's always lived inside you. So let's take a moment to gently reflect on what we've uncovered together. You've learned to validate yourself instead of waiting for others to do it. You've let go of keeping score and in doing so, released so much quiet resentment. You've begun to create boundaries, not out of anger, but out of deep respect for your own emotional well-being. You've reached beyond the family circle to find joy in new places, and you've started to see your own worth, not through the lens of appreciation, but through the legacy you carry. These are not small changes. These are powerful acts of self-respect. They are reminders that no matter who sees it or says it out loud, you matter, and you are still allowed to create beauty, to explore, to find happiness, to live fully. Let this be the season where you stop waiting to feel appreciated and start being appreciated by yourself first. Everything else that follows is a bonus, not a lifeline. So if you're watching this and your heart feels a little lighter, I want you to take one small step today. Maybe it's going for a walk without your phone. Maybe it's writing yourself a love note and tucking it in your nightstand. Maybe it's joining that group you've been thinking about. Or maybe it's just closing your eyes for a moment and whispering to yourself, I am still here and I am still enough. You've spent a lifetime loving others. Now it's your turn to love yourself, deeply, kindly, without conditions. If this message touched you, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. And if you found comfort here, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because this channel is your space too, a place where your voice matters and your experience is honored. You're not invisible. Not here, not now, not ever. Here's to living your most meaningful, joyful life, not in spite of your age, but because of the wisdom it's given you. Keep shining, keep loving, keep being beautifully, unapologetically you.